Portal's ready. You're invading. Make a mess. One down. That's two. You make this look easy. 10 seconds and I pull you back. Woo! They wanted to fight you, right? That's what they said. Almost there.
Man like Jimmy. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Now if you didn't guess by the thumbnail and you did not guess by the opening clip to this video, today we are discussing Gambit. Now last week was something a little bit more technical, so to speak, with the relationship between Activision and Bungie, but this week this is something far more simple. We're looking at 3 ways we can try and improve Gambit and just a little bit of a discussion on the current state of Gambit as it is now. Now, when Forsaken initially launched with Gambit, it was a breath of fresh air. It was a combination of the PvP elements and the PvE elements fused together in something that was quite novel. Now, initially, before the meta started to settle in terms of Gambit, it was a whole lot of fun. There was a lot of anomalies. People were still learning the maps, the spawns, etc, etc. It was really a nice learning experience. However, we have kind of descended into Gambit where it's kind of become a little bit stale, and there's a number of reasons for this. Mainly the 3 reasons, or the 3 things I'm going to suggest to improve, and these are my own thoughts and opinions, so please don't take this as gospel. But the reason I believe Gambit has become a little bit stale and needs a bit of a refresh just to improve the overall experience is: number 1, the invader potency, number 2, the meta, and number 3, the blockers. So let's have a little bit of a discussion about these 3 things and how I think they can be improved. Now, the invader potency is something that I think is far too strong in the invaders' favor. Now, if you did not see the clip at the start of the video, here it is again. Now, as you can see, I spawn in. I am using Queen Breaker's bro, just to illustrate my point here. You can actually see people through the wall in terms of their icon or their name tag, and I think that's a little bit broken. I know it's 1v4, you should have some kind of buff or advantage, but the fact that you can track an enemy's movements behind cover and pop out and shoot them with a weapon that is clearly in need of some adjustment makes it in the invaders' favor. And there's literally nothing you can do against a person who spawns in who's quite, I wouldn't even say highly skilled, average at best skilled with the Queen Breaker's bow. They're easily picking up 2, 3, sometimes even 4 kills. Now, I think to remedy this issue, I think it shouldn't be something that is continuous. I think it should pulse and pulse within a certain radius. And to grasp a better idea of this, I've got a little clip here of the Wish Ender bow. Now, if an invader in Gambit had something similar to the detection of enemy players, similar to that of the Wish Ender, I think it would be a little bit more balanced. You can't track their movements continuously. You have to be within a certain range in order for it to be effective, and it also stops people from spawning in and remaining at their spawn, because 9 times out of 10 when you spawn into the enemy's territory, you're on the opposite side to where they're dealing with the ads, and you can literally just stay where you spawned in and snipe them across the map with the Queen Breaker's bow, or even Sleeper Simulant of something of that ilk. This should potentially kind of quell that. Queen Breaker's bow is another separate issue that can be left for another discussion. However, get at me in the comment section below on your thoughts of Queen Breakers and how you would balance it. But just to summarize, to address this number 1 issue, I think, is take away the continuous radar or the continuous tracking of movement and give the Invader the pulsing effect similar to that of the Wish Ender. It doesn't need to be exact, but just similar, to stop people from tracking enemy movements continuously. Now, the second issue that I believe needs a bit of addressing is the meta. Now, when I say meta, I don't necessarily specifically mean the weapons. I'm talking about the subclasses, the supers, and actually how the game plays. Now, once people have banked their moats and they've summoned the primeval, there's a kind of rhythm, or there's a way to kind of like just delete your primeval basically. And it basically goes like this: you summon your primeval, you wait for the invader to have their first invasion, you deal with that invader, and then everybody just spams supers and just wipes the boss instantly. Now, to me, there should be a little bit more of a mechanic there to just stop that from happening, because what you find is you can have teams that will just blow away their primeval in a matter of seconds, or you'll have teams that are really good that will catch up and again blow their primeval away in a matter of seconds. Now, I don't believe they designed the final fight to just be over within about 10 seconds with everybody spamming their supers. Yes, it is a valid tactic, but I think there should be some kind of mechanic there in order to stop that from happening. Now, the reason I say this is because when the primeval servitor spawns, which is the one that's related to the Malfeasance quest, you cannot do that because there's a mechanism that makes it go immune. So there's a lot more tactics in play in order to defeat that boss, and it brings some quite tense moments. And I think that should be incorporated across the whole of the Gambit gameplay, not just with the primeval servitor, to stop people from spamming it, because it can be a little bit frustrating and a little bit annoying when you've summoned your primeval first, you've done everything that you can do, you've taken out the guardians, they summon theirs after you, and they just literally blitz their primeval without a second thought because they're on the primeval slayer catch-up buff, which I think is a little bit unfair for the team that actually tried their hardest to get their primeval out first. So yeah, I feel that the meta needs to be looked at in terms of how the primeval is actually defeated. In terms of the enemy spawns, that's not an issue, they're just regular ads, they need to get pub stomped in any way, shape or form. But the actual boss needs a bit of a mechanic in order to stop it being absolutely destroyed within the first like 30 seconds of an invader coming in. Okay, my third and final point is the blockers. I thought this was a bit of an issue from when Gambit initially launched. I feel there's no incentive to bank the 10 and the 15 moat blockers, which is the Hive Taken Knight and the Hive Taken Ogre. The knights that you spawn in with a 5 moat deposit with the shields are far more effective than the other two, and it begs the question, why would you want to bank 10 and 15 moats? Firstly, you can put a lot of pressure on the opponents by continuously banking 5, because they have to spend a lot of their time around the actual bank clearing those blockers that can be very, very obnoxious with their shields. They can push you away from the blocking from the moat deposit bank, and they're very, very difficult to kill because you have to actually get around them, and it takes up a lot of time getting rid of them. If a Hive Ogre spawns in, you can literally shoot him in the face continuously, and with a half decent team they get wiped pretty easy. Now yes, there's an argument that the 5 night blockers that originally get spawned can be taken out easily, but it's more difficult to take those guys out compared to the ones that require more moats. Now I think there should be some kind of incentive, and I don't know how Bungie would go about doing this, possibly giving the Ogre or the 10 blocker knight more health, or giving it a different mechanic, or potentially changing the actual archetype of enemy. So maybe it's a Vex Hydra boss or a Fallen Captain rather than it being a Hive Knight, because as it stands at the moment there's just no incentive to actually bank that many, and once they are banked and they put over to the enemy side, they just get wiped pretty quickly. Yes, I would argue that the Ogre does potentially more damage than the other two, but as a whole I just don't think it's effective as the 5 night blockers. So ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on Gambit, but what are yours? I've been thinking deeply about this, and I've kind of shied away from the Gambit playlist, mainly for that reason. You see the same things in terms of weapon loadouts, and destroying the boss just comes down to who can coordinate their supers rather than any kind of tactical play beyond that. which I find is a little bit disappointing considering the whole aspect of the PvE versus and PvP mishmash. But ladies and gents, like I said, I am all ears. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts and feelings on the subject matter, and as always, if you do like this content, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and I will definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoy. Peace.